Aaron Rodgers was 21 of 39 for 185 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, a 73 quarterback rating. And again, in the post-game news conference, he blamed everyone but himself when they asked him about his performance. He declared there were 11 men on offense. Sometimes I'm wrong, but it's not always me.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, Week 13 of the NFL, Segment 1, Best, Worst, and Most Surprising from our panel. Segment 2, Story of the Week, Dead Man Walking. When do you know it's over? And in Segment 3, we will do our Top 5 and talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only, and hopefully I'm entertained by Segment 3. Well, let's get going. Will Cotton, Captain for Life, what was the best thing you saw this week?
Oh, for me, the best thing for this week was the Commanders win. This was a trap game normally for them. This was a game that normally they go in, and whether they go up 28 or whatever like they did, or it's, they struggle through, they usually leave with an L, traditionally, every time. For them to go out, put out 28, starts getting a little rocky, and then they continue to push and push and push. This may be the best. This is not the best team we've seen, but this is definitely that the franchise is changing its whole energy within the whole organization. Games that you thought they were going to lose are now winning these games, and then now really winning those games. So yeah, it was the best thing I saw today.
All right. Teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors, what was the best thing you saw this weekend?
Best thing I saw today was the Pittsburgh Steelers, and specifically Russell Wilson in his performance. Wilson threw for 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and had a 126.4 passer rating. This is a guy who, was run out of Seattle. He was run out of Denver and found a home with the Steelers, and the Steelers just win. Tomlin is a genius. I mean, whatever he's got, he takes. He just works with it, and the man wins games. You can't say a bad thing about him, but Russell Wilson today was the best thing that I saw.
All right. The coach's coach, Damon Pigram. Damon, what was the best thing you saw, sir?
Well, I guess my hat doesn't give it away, but I thought the Eagles today, getting off to a slow start, spotting Baltimore 9 points and then holding them to 12. I guess the game might be still on a little bit, but I mean, I'm happy with the way they're playing. They say winning kind of heals everything. And the Eagles coming back off of what they did last year and just, starting 10-1, 10-2, and that just imploding. And then off to a bad start with, even just some bad wins against, Cleveland and bad losses to the Falcons and the Bucks, and to see them kind of rolling. I just hope the coaches don't get in the way right now and just keep feeding Saquon, and the defense looks good. So I'm happy about them.
All right. An academic, an athletic consultant for the CK Save Project, George Aka. George, what was the best thing you saw week 13?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Bryce Young. I got to give the kid credit, man. He got him in the game. Right now, he got the ball, getting ready to drive down for hopefully a game-winning score. Could be a game-winning score here. He's had probably the most tumultuous season of anybody, and he comes back and shows out and shows that he is a legit NFL quarterback. Each week he gets better, he keeps building on it, and he might wind up pulling a win out right here. So, I got to give him all the credit in the world.
All right. So, Cotton Man, what's the worst thing you saw, my friend?
Oh, man, got to be Giants versus Cowboys. Man, Thanksgiving, I was falling
killing the chat, man. Killing the group chat.
Man, I was falling. I ended up watching Oregon versus Texas A&M, and everybody in the house was cooler. Nobody argued. That was a terrible, terrible, worst Thanksgiving game I've seen in a long time. And I'm not being biased because it didn't matter which team was playing, as whatever skill set they were playing out, man, it was bad. It was just terrible. Everybody finished. Everybody left. It was early. It was like 5:30. We left. It was just bad. That was the worst thing I saw. That terrible game they put out for Thanksgiving Day.
All right. Ak, what was the worst thing you saw?
I'll one up you. Tennessee Titans. What the hell were they doing today? What the hell was that? Did they even get off the bus? I mean, God, dog. The high school team could have beat them today. They were terrible. Absolutely terrible. I got no words, man. No words. That just stunk up the joint.
All right, Connor. So, what was the worst thing you saw?
I was going to just say New York football in general, but since Will went Giants, I'll go Jets. Jets had a 14-point lead. Aaron Rodgers was 21 of 39 for 185 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, a 73 quarterback rating. And again, in the post-game news conference, he blamed everyone but himself when they asked him about his performance. He declared there were 11 men on offense. Sometimes I'm wrong, but it's not always me. So again, Rodgers is the greatest athlete in the history of his mind. He can do no wrong. He's the greatest thing in the world. He has not been the pancreatic cancer that the Jets have this year. So we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, Pig, what's the worst thing you saw?
Mike, I'm mad at you. You took my pick.
I'm sorry, my man.
It's the Jets. And it's not just today. They killed themselves with penalties in the fourth quarter. Just they couldn't get out of their own way. And to me, they're just a big disappointment. Keith, Doc, excuse me if I step out of line, but the Jets, they sold their soul in order to get that guy. Everything they told us last year was they were a quarterback away, and they had, they got Breece Hall, and they got the wide receiver, and they got a defense. They told us all those things, and he's not the answer. And this is like they lost their head coach, they lost a coordinator. This is like, to quote Brother Malcolm, these chickens coming home to roost right now, and they deserve everything they get. They sold their soul, and not to get too political, I feel like, sorry, Keith, I feel like the country did the same thing on November 5th.
Damon, you ain't out of line. Damon, you ain't out of line because we said that 2 weeks ago. You all good.
And
I wasn't on it, so I bet. Okay.
And just to show that selling your soul does not pay off, this is the Jets' 9th losing season in a row and their 15th in a row where they won't make the playoffs. Both of the longest streaks in the NFL.
Oh, man. All right, George, what's the most surprising thing you've seen today?
San Diego Superchargers. Chargers, though, they are 8-4 now, man. They beat Atlanta. I know somebody on here said that Atlanta was going to kill him. I know, and his feelings was a little hurt because I'm sorry, Los Angeles Chargers won.
They're still in the wild card, right?
Yeah, yes, they are. Yes, they're 8-4. Man.
That's what they do.
They right in the middle. They right there. They're right there. So they're looking at it, and I'm upset right now because it wasn't Bryce's fault. Carolina might have just gave the game away, and it wasn't Bryce Young's fault. Anyway, but yeah, I'll go with San Diego. They still hanging in. They hanging in real close.
All right. Damon, what's the most surprising thing you saw today?
You said me?
Yes, sir. What's the most surprising thing you saw today?
You.
Damon. Go, Damon.
My fault. I would say just in general, the Vikings. And George, you met up Bryce. You mentioned Bryce Young. And I think going in, expectations were pretty low on this team. They lost their first round draft pick to injury in the preseason.
Were they? That's an understatement.
Yeah. I mean, the quarterback. Now I forget his name, out of USC. Dalton, not Dalton. Is it Dalton? Not Dalton.
No, don't call Dalton. Please don't. That you got Sam. You got Sam out there, man. God.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's playing well. They're playing well defensively, and I think most people will say he was going to be a bust, but I think he was a victim of circumstance. And I think Bryce Young's kind of the same way, where he's a victim of circumstance. There's not a lot around him. They had, bad ownership and all that stuff. So, to me, Vikings.
All right. Cottonman.
Sam Darnold. Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Cottonman, what's the most surprising thing you saw this weekend?
I guess I was surprised how lackluster the Ravens played. It was a big game. I was hoping that they were coming out and they were going to, do what they got to do. And, a lot of people didn't think they were the Eagles to at least like keep it close to, do something like that. And they just like did not play the way that I thought they were going to play. I was surprised. I thought this was a game that really, really would solidify Lamar as an MVP. And he just didn't. And, it was kind of, I was kind of surprised at that, and now they're kind of like hanging on for their lives. So now it's like a must win moving forward. Like, it's no longer kind of thing. And Lamar didn't play bad. I mean, he didn't play bad at all. He had no picks. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 80 yards running. Derrick Henry obviously didn't score. But there was a lot of questionable calls or not calls, but plays, I would say, by Jim Harbaugh. That again, Mike McDonald was there. I think they would have at least kept the game a lot closer than it was. They won a touchdown that was late, but it really didn't matter. So they really just got outclassed. I was just surprised they got outclassed like they did. And, that's just what I was surprised.
Yeah, and if the season ended today, they're definitely a wild card team. So that is surprising. Connors, close us out. What's the most surprising thing you saw today?
I got to agree with what George said earlier. Bryce Young today coming in, looking good, throwing for almost 300 yards, leading what at the time looked like it was going to be a game-winning drive with 30 seconds left. You can't hold that against him if the defense can't stop Tampa Bay. As we all know, Baker Mayfield's a decent quarterback, so him leading a charge at the end is not surprising. But no matter what,
I'm sorry, Mike.
I think I killed George.
He said Baker Mayfield decent. My fault, man. Go ahead.
Hey,
go ahead.
He's got his, he is what he is. I don't think he's a subpar quarterback, but I think Carolina's an awful team. And Bryce Young coming back from being benched and rallying back in that awful organization shows that the kid has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback.
He did. He let him. And the bad thing about it is your running back fumbles, and it's going to cost you to lose the game. God, dog, I feel bad for Bryce on this. We played great today.
All right. So in segment 2, story of the week, dead man walking. When do you know it's over? We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast and segment 2, Dead Man Walking. So the Chicago Bears fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus, this past week after, let's just say, poor clock management on Thanksgiving when a national television audience is watching. So, Mike, you've watched a lot of football. You've been in a lot of situations, both academically and athletically. When do you know it's time to go when something's about to happen?
It's all about having control of the locker room. When you lose the locker room and the faith of your players and you start throwing players under the bus, that's when you have some problems. The coach was saying he didn't call a timeout because he wanted at one point to save it for his rookie quarterback to be able to call the timeout. And then later in the press conference, the rookie quarterback didn't sound like he was very sure that they even had a timeout. So obviously there's some lack of communication. And one of the other major problems is nowadays is there is no game that's not covered to the nth degree. There's nowhere to hide. I mean, back in the day when there was 4 or 5 games on TV and that was it, if San Diego was playing Cleveland back in the early 90s, they could get away with a bad game like that. Now there's 18 different channels covering it. You know, there's 15 different websites that are streaming it live. There's nowhere for these people to hide anymore. So you make one bad mistake on a national game like that when you're already having a shaky season, and you're done.
George, your management, you're seeing all of this happen. What do you do in that situation? Did the Bears make the right move?
Personally, I think the Bears waited too long because I probably wouldn't have started the season with them. But like anything else, you know, I think they wanted to try to keep some a semblance of familiarity in place for the rookie quarterback. But the situation, it is, I mean, we've talked about this before. There's always going to be a tipping point that happens where you can't go any further with the setup you got. It just so happened that, you know, this has happened more. This with the bad clock management by Eberflus happened more than once this year. They couldn't do it again because he's costing them games. When your actions start costing the team games, it's time to move on. And that coincides with losing the locker room and everything else that goes along with it. You know, these things have they figure themselves out. I always say it'll figure itself out. You can sit there and put it together and you can play, but you know when it's time to sit a kid down, you know when it's time we got to go with a new coach, you know when the time is right. And this was the time it hit that tipping point, and that's what happened, man. And it was, to me, I wouldn't have started the season with him because he was terrible last year. He was terrible to mediocre last year. He was terrible to mediocre the year before. You gave him an extra year, and what was he going? Did you expect something different? I mean, I you know, they tried to keep it together for the kid, but hell, I would have just started over and gone with it from there, man.
All right, Damon, you are former college, high school coach. You've been in these tough situations. How did the Bears handle it the right way? What do you think?
I've never been a fan of coaches losing their job in season, but he kind of had it coming, and it's not even his. I mean, his actions are poor with, you know, the time management and whatnot, but it's how he tries to justify it afterwards. Like, are you crazy? Like, are you serious? Like, just like you're insulting our intelligence against Washington. Oh, that 12-yard out didn't mean anything. Yes, it did, because they put them 12 yards closer for Jaden Daniels to put the ball in the end zone. Whatever his excuse for not using the timeout is, I've never played football before, organized, but we know, anybody who's a coach, you know, in a losing situation, you should not walk out of the gym with timeouts in your pocket.
No,
that's a bad.
There's no timeout shelf that we can keep them for prosperity.
That's a bad look on any level, any sport, any level. So, I mean, he kind of had it coming.
All right, and Will, you're the player. You're around this team. You're in the locker room. You're going through this losing streak. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think get rid of the guy. You know, yeah, I mean, it get the bad vibes out. You know, in my opinion, I don't even think that he should have had that job when they got drafted Caleb. I think they should have went brand new with a whole new coach. They could have went after Mike McDonald, who's doing a great job. You know, even with its, you know, not doing great with his quarterback, but he could have been doing a lot better with Caleb Williams. At least if you're going to hire or if you're going to draft a quarterback first overall, why not give him a brand new coach who is an offensive mind and help him grow? You know, and that's what the Bears should have done. And the Bears didn't even the fans didn't even want Eberflus. They didn't even want him anymore. They were like, why is he coming back? And the dude was throwing every OC under the bus and this, that, and the third. And, you know, I think that's just poor management, man. They should have definitely have gotten a new coach by then. But I guess, you know, firing a coach mid-season, it gets the fans riled up. It gets the fans hired up like, yeah, that's right, he's gone. We don't want him anymore. But it's like, dude, you have a lot of games left. And you're pretty much saying that you're giving up. And, you know, you don't really have a plan right now. You're already in the market for a coach. So, you know, I don't know what happens if the locker room follows that and says, hey, you know, now we're fired up. And again, they're not in the playoffs. So I know those guys are just trying to stay healthy, get to the holidays. I think the Bears are packing it up and getting ready for next year.
All right. So George, you're my athletic director. At the start of it, when Caleb Williams got drafted, they said as a number one quarterback pick, he is walking into the best situation any number one quarterback has walked into. He has a defense, he has this, he has that. Now the Bears have underperformed for the first time in their 100-some-odd-year illustrious history. They fired a coach midseason. If you're working with the Bears, what type of coach do you want? Because we've seen a lot of names out there, even one local to us on the rumor mill. What are you looking for if you had that high?
I'm looking for a leader. That's the basic thing. The one that can instill a system. One that the guys can believe in and get behind. I'm not so much worried about whether he's defensive minded or offensive minded, because that's what coordinators are for. But he's got to have a good sense of picking the right people for those positions. Take it back. I think Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh in Baltimore is one of the best leaders there are. The problem comes down to his offensive coordinators from time to time, because even when he had McDonald I know lost his mind last year during the playoffs. So it happens. But because your offensive and your defensive coordinators are going to be more directly involved with the scheming and everything that happens with the offense and defense and the game plan. But you need a leader with somebody that we can rally behind, that the guys are going to be ready to run through a wall for, that they're going to believe in, and that they're going to have respect and listen to. Right now, I would have started over and would have got somebody that's been tested, that's done something. So Caleb has something solid to grab onto, and knows that it's going to be there. He came into, and this is one reason why I had a problem with them keeping Eberflus. It was a tumultuous situation to keep him there. The base was already unsteady. It was a bad situation headed into it. So it could only do it. You could put everything around him like he did. He's got a great look. He's got a great offensive weapons there. The system seemed to be halfway decent. Defensive, they were good. But then again, here we're looking at leadership. What do you do? How do you call play? How the plays called? Are the guys staying in line? Hell, you looking. Damien mentioned the Commanders game. You got defensive backs waving at the crowd and jawing with them while the plays happening. So that right there speaks to the tone that's in that locker room and what was set by the coach. And those guys they had little to no respect for him because they knew he was dead man walking. So I would have just cut bait and just started from scratch from the beginning, man.
All right. So Damon, you are a coach's coach. You've got Caleb Williams, who people do have questions about, not his talent, but his approach to his profession. What would you look for in a coach if you're Chicago, knowing that this is the talent you have and you've got to get the best out of him?
Well, the problem is they didn't have the quarterback since Jim McMahon, and he was a questionable, average at best quarterback back in 1985. I mean, that was a defensive-led team. That was a Walter Payton team. I'm going to just start at the top. I just think they need to do a better job. I don't know who's the hot, coordinator on the defensive side or offensive side or whatever. I know they threw out the name of the guy from Detroit, but they have good personnel. They're doing a poor job selecting coaches and people that can coach up young people and quarterbacks. That's the start for me.
But Damien, but you mentioned something. McMahon was not the best quarterback, but he fit that system and he fit what Ditka wanted. So you're talking about a personality that everybody in the locker room had faith in and they had respect for. So, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator went right along, even though him and Buddy Ryan got the blows every once in a time. They knew who the leader of the team was. And everybody fell in line. There was no dissent. There was no questioning a call or anything like that because he set a tone and that's the way their tone was, and they were hard nosed. McMahon was a hard nosed quarterback. I ain't gonna say he was the best, but he fit the mold and did what needed to happen on that team.
Yeah, they haven't had that since then anyway. They haven't had a leader. They haven't had a hard nosed kind of quarterback who could say rally around me.
Oh yeah.
They thought it was Cutler. That think about
Jay was a little flaky. He was a little flaky.
Oh, that dude was stoned every time. That dude was what?
All right, Connors, take us out of here. If you're advising the Bears, what would you advise them to do in their next coaching search?
I'm looking for somebody who's got some experience. I don't want a new guy coming in here. I'm looking at like a Cliff Kingsbury, who was a good head coach, was a good offensive coordinator with the Commanders right now. He's doing a nice job. Someone like him with a young quarterback could do a good job, in my opinion.
But how do you feel up the line?
Didn't that happen go well with Kyle Murray? Didn't he have that same situation?
He learned just like your boy did in Seattle.
I will not besmirch Cliff Kingsbury this week, but in segment 3, let me just get away from that before I go on a rant. In segment 3, we'll do our top 5. Hopefully Connors has one, and we'll talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast, and feel free to look up that guy's resume and tell me why he gets so many jobs. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. Hey, Jeff, that was us in the middle of the segment. In segment 3, let's get our OCP top 5. Connors, take it away, sir.
All right, here's who we got so far this week. I got Detroit in the number 1 position still. I got KC in number 2. I got Buffalo, who's playing tonight up in the snow, in 3. I got Minnie 4, and I got the Eagles in 5.
All right, and we will not see Fowler for some time. I did talk to him last night.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're right.
We'll see him on September.
Yeah. George, how do you feel about that top 5, sir?
I got to move the Eagles up to 3 or 4. I got to, because they've had some, especially after the day they took care of a quality Baltimore team, and they've been doing their thing. And then you had Buffalo in there, so yeah, I just would change the order around. Minnesota is still they there.
They got like 2 losses.
They're 10-2.
I get it. I'm just telling you, I'm not easy superstar.
I'm not saying you're Super Bowl bound.
Yeah, I got them.
They
I
keep
like
winning.
Them. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And for like 5 weeks in a row, George opened the show with, "What is this thing with the?"
I'm serious. I still don't know, because they still doing things, miraculous things. So Sam Darnold's playing his butt off. I give him credit. I do.
So strictly for entertainment purposes only, season-long bets. I got Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, thank you for today's win. I go to the pay window. Baltimore, do better. All right, AFC South, Jacksonville and Tennessee, 2 underperformers. Miami, 5 games left, 5 wins, something like that. So I've got them under 9.5. Give me a couple of losses. I got Buffalo over 10.5. They got 9 wins, and hopefully they can get one tonight against San Francisco. Denver, I lost on that one. Akil is happy somewhere. But the Las Vegas Raiders, are we keeping Antonio Pierce, fellas? Okay. NFC North, Detroit's already hit it. They've got 11 wins. And Green Bay, thank you, George. I'm going to take that to the pay window. Green Bay is already at 9. They only need 1 more. Atlanta. Sorry, Kurt. They was even talking about playing Penix. I don't know about all that, but we need y'all to
They
play
need
better.
to. They need to.
And Carolina, you're teasing me, man. All I need is 3 more wins, and I go to the pay window. NFC East, I do have Washington. They already won. And Dallas, they got 5 wins with 5 games left. What do you think? Can they go undefeated?
Blame your brother.
George? Oh, yeah. All right. NFC
Yes.
West, LA Rams. They got the win. So I got them over 8.5, only 3 wins left. And Arizona, they're at 6 wins. And I got them over 7. All right. So not too bad. This week, you'll also hear about our college season on Thursday's show. Last week, I was 3-4. This week, unfortunately, I was not. I was worse than that. Had Baltimore -3. That didn't work out for me. 2 play. Had New Orleans +2.5. New England +2.5. Thank you, New England. No thanks to New Orleans. My 3 play. Seattle -1. Thank you. The Los Angeles Superchargers -1. Thank you. Tampa Bay -5.5. As CeeLo Green song said, we'll just do that. My 4 play. I can't get a break, fellas. Seattle, Washington, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. There's always one that just can't get the win. Commanders in Tennessee over 44.5. I think Washington did that by themselves. I had Arizona, Minnesota under 45.5. That didn't work out for me, but I did have Pittsburgh with the upset. Cotton Man, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only this week?
Yeah, I took just one. I took the under of Washington. I thought it was going to be a nice, just like low scoring, weird game, and it ended up being a weird game, but definitely weird for the Titans. So I'll take that $5 proudly and say y'all got it.
All right, George, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only?
Well, you know that the Dolphins can't play in cold weather, so that one worked out well for me. And let's go rolling the dice tonight. Let's go. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes up in Buffalo. Pull one out for me because I usually do not like the Bills, but we went ahead and went with them following. I'm sorry, and I told you it was going to be a long season.
All right, Connors, did you see your guy this week?
Nope. That's it.
And we know, Damon, that you do not like to part with money. So I got a show to do, so I'll do mine. All right. So next week's games. All right. Week 14. Green Bay at Detroit on a Thursday night. Connors, was it you that said the Thursday night games got an uptick this year?
I don't think it was, but I'll take credit for it. That's for sure.
Jiminy Crickets, that's a great Thursday game.
That is a wonderful game to start the week with.
All right, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Jets versus Miami, Atlanta versus Minnesota. Kirk Cousins coming back to the Twin Cities. Will they have a parade for him? I'm not thinking
he might not even be playing, but go ahead. He might get pulled halfway through.
New Orleans against the Giants, Carolina against the Eagles. Damon, I don't think you have to worry about that. Cleveland against Pittsburgh, Vegas against Tampa Bay, Seattle against Arizona, Buffalo traveling all the way to LA to take on the Rams, Chicago against San Francisco, the Chargers and the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and on Monday night, did they flex this one? Cincinnati against Dallas, with a lot of teams on bye weeks, including Denver, Colts, the Pats, the Commanders, finally, they need a rest. Ravens on a bye week, and Houston. Cotton Man, any game next week catch your interest?
Chargers versus Chiefs. That's a good game. And to be honest with you, and to show some love to my man G, I think the Chargers going to give us a little bit of work, man. I think they can give a little work. We'll see. Don't
get ahead of yourself. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I didn't say win. I didn't say win, but they're going to give a little bit of work, man. I think they got a lot of energy that they need, and that defense is still very good. Probably the best defense they'll see this is Baltimore in the beginning of the season. So we'll see what happens. I like the Packers and Lions, obviously. And then I'm very interested about Seahawks and the Cardinals. They're kind of very, very interesting. And they always have these like very cool, interesting games where it's like 35-34, some very like high scoring bombs and stuff like that. So I think that's another game that's going to be pretty good for me.
Right. Any games catch your interest for next week?
I'm with Will. That Seahawks and Cardinals game because that NFC West, man. That's a Wild West show. They just beat up on each other. They all play the same. They're all real defensive minded, hard nosed run game, and you never know what you're gonna get out of that one. That of course that Packers Detroit game. I gotta see if Love can get the Brett Favre out of him. That's going to be a great game. So we're going to see what happens with that. And I don't know how ugly are the Cowboys going to make the game with Cincinnati. If the Cowboys can make it ugly, they might have a chance. We'll see.
All right, Connors, what caught your eye, sir?
Yeah, NFC North battle Thursday night. Love that game. Chargers versus Kansas City. Kansas City wins a lot ugly. The Chargers are a team that could take advantage of that and beat them. There are a couple of hideous games too. Jacksonville, Tennessee. That's a bad game right there. I mean,
that sounds like a European game. That sounds like the European
that should be playing in London or
like
Germany.
It's like a soccer match. Yeah.
The Buffalo Rams could be a good game out in LA. That's a tough trip after a Sunday night game. But I really think the Thursday night game is the game that's going to be the best game of the week.
All right, Damon. Any games catch your eye?
Well, I hate going last because then I gotta agree with Will and Mike. Will, it hurts me to co-sign what you're saying because you were a problem for us. So I still have some resentment. But to me, Chiefs and Chargers, and my thing about the Chiefs is like they keep getting by on the skin of their teeth. I mean, they're 10-1, whatever it is, and they're winning games with 11-1. They're winning games with like block kicks and all kinds of just crazy stuff. So
witchcraft.
I'm curious to see what they do. The Chargers are playing well, and I feel like the Chargers are playing well enough where they can actually put them away, at least and get a win.
Oh, y'all
That'd be a big win.
Look, man,
in Kansas City, that'd be a big win.
Y'all know better than y'all. Are y'all really doubting the King right now? Are you really doubting the King? You really doubting?
To win, you have to turn the corner.
Look,
to win, you have to turn the corner.
Look, all I got to say,
if you can't win, you're not turning the corner.
You can turn the corner. They can turn the
corner again. You can't turn the corner again.
They can turn the corner on everybody else but Omar. Like, Omar coming.
Against good teams.
Omar coming.
They played the Falcons, and they didn't win. I mean, they win. They beat
won.
Bad teams. When they play good teams, they lose.
But the
that's
King is
that's what Chargers do. They lose against good teams.
The King is a whole different story.
They're 1-4.
The King is a different story.
Good teams this year.
We're gonna sit here and debate forever. How does Kansas City keep winning?
You are so interconflicted.
And when
you're but you're a Mahomes guy.
And when the playoff starts, that switch is
you don't know
flip,
what's gonna happen.
And we're gonna be like, well, here they are again. Here they are again. No, the Chargers get the love just because you hate them.
You're gonna do that regardless. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, look at the Chargers. I told you. And if the Chiefs, you're gonna be like, told you about Mahomes.
The Chargers no.
You're covering both sides of the coin.
No, I'm not.
I see what you're doing.
No, I'm not.
I see what you're doing.
The Chargers get the love because you love Harbaugh.
You
are a Harbaugh man. You got Harbaugh pajamas. You got Harbaugh
great coach.
Harbaugh pajamas.
So fans, I do want to leave you with this little nugget of information. Cliff Kingsbury, as a head college coach, was 35-40, and as an NFL coach, he was 28, 38, and 1. So with that,
how many quarterbacks he got in the NFL?
On behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, Kelly Pickett,
he's 45. He's 45. 37 years ago.
Hater.
Mike King,
haters. Ain't no but haters in this joint. God,
thank you for listening. And for watching.
OCP done turned into the haters podcast. God,
and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care. I love you guys.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.